Almost every country in the world is in debt. The United States has over $38 trillion in debt, which is a historic record. Europe's debt is around $14 trillion, while Japan's is close to $9 trillion. Even oil-rich nations like Saudi Arabia, as well as export powerhouses like Germany and China, are heavily in debt. This brings up a simple but strange question. If everyone is in debt, whose money belongs to whom? Here's where it gets interesting. Debt isn't just a negative figure on government balance sheets. In reality, debt has become the foundation of the modern world. Almost every war, economic crisis, and major boom or collapse we've witnessed has been built on this debt system. If you trace the debts long enough, you come to an odd truth. The world is essentially in debt to itself. However, this debt doesn't function the same way for everyone. To understand how we arrived at a world with over $315 trillion in global debt, we need to go far back, well before credit cards and digital banking. In 1694, England was at war with France and had run out of money. The king approached merchants and said, "Lend money now, and later you'll receive interest from public taxes." That simple agreement led to the creation of the Bank of England. It was a groundbreaking development. The government could now spend money it didn't have yet, and lenders received something highly valuable: the government's promise. A promise that could be bought and sold. This was the birth of government bonds, the seed from which today's entire financial system sprouted. Other countries quickly followed suit. France, the Netherlands, the United States. Debt transitioned from a sign of weakness to a sign of credibility. If you could borrow, you had power. Empires once conquered lands to extract gold. Now they issue bonds to extract interest. The battlefield shifted to the balance sheet. Now let's look at today. Almost everyone is in debt, governments, banks, and ordinary people alike. Take the United States as an example. Of its $38 trillion in debt, most is held by Americans themselves, banks, pension funds, insurance companies, and even the central bank. What about the portion held by China or Japan? Compared to the total debt, it's not that significant. So when people say America is in debt to China, the reality is that America is mostly in debt to itself. Money moves in a loop. The government issues bonds, banks buy them, people pay taxes, and the interest flows back into those same people's pensions. It's a circular loop. And this isn't unique to the United States. The entire world operates this way. Countries lend to each other, but in the end everyone is exchanging promises. The trouble starts when trust breaks down, as seen in Greece, Argentina, or Sri Lanka. That's when you see who the creditors are: the IMF, banks, the markets, and ordinary people end up paying the price. The harsh truth is this: government debts are not meant to be paid off. They're meant to be rolled over. Old debt gets covered with new debt. That's called economic policy, not a conspiracy. Why? Because government bonds are the safest assets in the world. Banks, funds, and even central banks depend on them. If the United States ever paid off all its debt, the global financial system would collapse. So the goal isn't to eliminate debt. The goal is to make everyone believe in it. However, that belief doesn't benefit everyone equally. Debt profits predominantly flow to those who own assets, not to those who only pay taxes. Debt isn't merely a transfer of money between countries. It's also a transfer of money between social classes. And this brings us back to the original question, this time more personally. In the end, who is the real creditor? Perhaps the answer is this: all of us, and at the same time, no one. If this viewpoint is new to you, Keep following along. History has the answers. You just need to know where to look.